Welcome back. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. It's a time to help support those who have Parkinson's disease, their caregivers, and much more. In fact, April 11th is Parkinson Awareness Day. And here to talk about what we need to know about Parkinson's disease is John Lehr, as well as Susan Brown. John and Susan, thanks for being here today. We appreciate your time. John, let's start with you. Tell me about what we need to know about Parkinson's disease and what we can do to help support those who have this disease, especially this month.
Sure. So there are 1 million Americans who are living with Parkinson's disease. About 60,000 individuals are diagnosed each year. Parkinson's is a tough disease. It's what we call a progressive degenerative neurological disease, which means it affects the brain, it affects movement, it affects mood, cognition, it's a disease that generally starts later in life. People are diagnosed in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, but there are a small percentage of people who have what we call young onset Parkinson's disease. We always say no two individuals have the same type of disease. I mean, some people may have a lot of cognitive involvement, a lot of movement involvement, and others may not. So it's really important to go see your doctor and get a diagnosis and get on the best medications for you.
And Susan, you are living with Parkinson's disease. You're also taking care of your father who has the disease. Tell me about your experiences with Parkinson's disease.
Sure. I mean, we as a family, we have Parkinson's has been part of our lives for about 25 years. So I was quite familiar with the symptoms and the, sort of challenges before I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed when I was 50. My father also was diagnosed in his 50s. So that's quite young. His symptoms are not the same as mine. Everybody has different symptoms. And the key, I think, to managing almost all of them is exercise. It is finding people that are going to be supportive and having good information like the Parkinson's Foundation's website. But, for me, I have a longer stretch. If I'm going to live till 85, I have 30 more years of living with Parkinson's. And so treating myself, mental health and physical health well is critical to living well every day with it.
And Susan, you're also a caretaker. Any advice for others who are in that similar position?
Yes, I think that if there is something I would say that, and what I'm better at, because I also have the disease, is empathy. I mean, it's exhausting. It can be exhausting. My mother, is a caretaker, primary, but I understand a lot of the subtleties of the disease, and just trying to be patient and knowing that tomorrow is probably going to be better. Every day is different. Some days are harder than others. I would, just understanding that it is a moving target with Parkinson's. It's different for everybody and every day.
And John, what are some other key things that we need to know about Parkinson's disease?
Yeah, so Parkinson's is a disease that we don't know the underlying causes of it. There is a genetic component, and we're running a very large study to understand the genetics of Parkinson's. So about 15% of people are likely to have a genetic form of the disease. There are some environmental triggers, and so we're looking at, is it an interplay between genetics and the environment? And then many people just may get Parkinson's because it's a part of the natural aging process. We all tend to lose dopamine neurons as we go forward through life. So it's a complex disease, and we're making a lot of progress. We're learning a lot more about it. The more we learn, the better we're going to be able to identify and develop new drugs and therapies that help people live much better with this disease.
Susan, what are some keys to living well with Parkinson's disease?
Exercise is the first thing my neurologist told me was you need to exercise every day. And I would say, secondly, you want to find a really good care team. I went to a neurologist and then found a movement specialist, and that really helps. They know what they're doing as far as giving you the prescriptions and drugs that you need to live well. And then lastly, I would say you have to find a group of family, friends, and people who are smarter than you are about the disease. I think that's the Parkinson's Foundation, who can be supportive, understanding, and Quite honestly, just helping you when days are a little harder than others.
John, what should someone do if they have symptoms or they're concerned that they may have Parkinson's disease? And what are some of the symptoms that you need to be worried about?
Sure. So the first thing I would do is if you think you have symptoms, go see your doctor. He or she will likely be able to determine whether or not you should see an additional specialist, a neurologist, or what we call a movement disorder specialist, somebody who specializes in diseases like Parkinson's. So some of the symptoms, early symptoms of Parkinson's are a resting tremor. Your hand may shake a little bit, your legs may shake a little bit, your foot. You may notice a loss of sense of smell, just kind of like COVID. You may have some sleeplessness, and you may also notice rigidity in your movement or gait problems, walking problems. Those are some of the early signs. And again, if you have those, go see your doctor. If you want to find out more about Parkinson's, go to our website, parkinson.org. That's parkinson.org. Or you can call our helpline, which is open during business hours in the United States. And that number is 800-4PD-INFO, 800-4PD-INFO.
And Susan, tell us more about what you're doing during Parkinson's Awareness Month and what we can do also to support you and others who have the disease.
Sure. We participate in things like Moving Day, which is the walk that the Parkinson's Foundation sponsors in many communities. That's different for each community depending on where you are. For me, I spend a lot of time with awareness. I volunteer with the advisory board here in Georgia, but I also ask people to share their story and to share mine, frankly. Every 8 or 9 minutes, somebody's diagnosed with Parkinson's. So, when we are doing some kind of awareness, like in April, I've asked my family and friends to share information about Parkinson's with 8 of their friends on social media.
And John, where can we get more information?
Yeah, so as I said, you can go to our website, parkinson.org. There's lots of information about understanding Parkinson's, what the diagnosis looks like, treatment options, and then you can also go to our helpline, 800-4PD-INFO, 800-4PD-INFO. On our helpline, we have nurses and therapists and social workers answering the calls. They've been with us for many years. There's no question they haven't heard before, and they'll spend as much time with you trying to help you figure out what's best for you and where you can go to get the best care possible.
Thank you so much, John and Susan, for joining us today with this important discussion about Parkinson's disease. Susan, we really appreciate your very personal account of living with Parkinson's disease. Appreciate you sharing that with us today. And John, thanks for the very important information. We'll be back with more right after this.